They're an iconic link to Vermont's past, and so beloved, Covered Bridge Week is coming up. And this year, with a chance to see some revolutionary new swag. We're learning more today on Across the Fence. Hello, Vermont. 26 years ago, a group of history buffs, fans, and preservationists realized that a labor of love was required to ensure Vermont's collection of historic covered bridges made it through another century intact. They formed the Vermont Covered Bridge Society, and last year successfully persuaded Governor Phil Scott to designate a week in August as Covered Bridge Week. This year, with another designation in hand, Covered Bridge Week 2026 will be held at covered bridges all over the state, August 1st through August 8th. What's happening? That's what we're here to find out. Joining me today is Beth Brown Limmer, a self-described Rutland County gal and the president of the Vermont Covered Bridge Society, and Steve Brown, a landscape photographer who was named the VCB Society's Member of the Year for 2026. Beth Brown Limmer and Steve Brown, welcome to Across the Fence.
Thank you.
It is lovely to have you both here. I have a quick pop quiz for you. Can you name the covered bridge that I was walking in front of?
Looked like the Shelburne Bridge.
It is the Shelburne Bridge at the museum, which of course is a non-functional bridge. I think on the map of covered bridges on your excellent website, it is listed as it has a special designation because of the fact that it's not in circulation. You can't actually cross it.
It's retired.
It's a retired bridge. Well, there you go. Yes, it was the closest one to us when we were doing our
It's not traveled, and so it's retired.
Yes, and it is a lovely bridge.
It is.
Let's talk about Covered Bridge Week. And Beth, this was a bit of your baby and your brainstorm. You want to tell us how you got Governor Scott on board?
Well, it was because last year the Vermont Covered Bridge Society was 25 years old. And so we wanted to make it a banner year. And so I thought, what better way than to have the governor get on board? And he issued a very lovely congratulatory proclamation to us on our 25 years as a nonprofit organization in Vermont with a very worthy mission of preserving Vermont's historic covered bridges. And in that proclamation, he designated the first week in August as Covered Bridge Week. I had kind of been lobbying for one day, but when I got a week, I was like, okay, we're running with this. And so we started planning events. That was in February, and we started planning events for that first week in August, and the rest is history.
And the rest is history. And it's happening again this year. And I have to say, like, she's a mastermind, because August 1st is a Saturday and August 8th is also a Saturday, and that constitutes a week, right? I mean, it's
correct.
like, you know,
in our world.
And we've managed to grab 2 Saturdays, and there's events on both of those Saturdays. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the events in a minute. But I want to talk a little more too about like what the Vermont Covered Bridge Society does. So you're the member of the year. You have a pretty good idea of what the society's up to. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that the society does, Steve.
Well, I'm involved basically with the calendar, and that's the major fundraiser for the society. So besides, people paying dues and, buying calendars, and Beth had given me that job years ago, and, I thought it was going to be a piece of cake, just
Just make a calendar.
13
Just
pictures.
take some pictures, yeah.
13 pictures, with the cover, and just put it together, and she came out with all these guidelines that I couldn't repeat any of the previous covered bridges.
Right.
Had to use all different counties.
Yeah.
And I went to work and found out March and April is mud season in Vermont. And
Which you knew. You're in New Hampshire. You have mud season in March and April too. Don't say we're the only ones.
not quite,
Not quite the same? Okay.
but
Well, and these calendars, so this is, like I said, this is a major fundraiser for the society, and the money, of course, then goes into things like grants and preservation projects, etc. And yeah, no repeating, but I mean, this is also a labor of love and a real, great opportunity. And you printed 500, I think, of these last year and sold them all immediately.
Well, not immediately.
Not immediately,
We
but
always debut them on in June at our spring meeting, and so they hit the airwaves, if you will, in June, and by December well, the second week of December, usually they're completely gone.
Yeah.
They are available on our website, on our online store.
As is some other fantastic merch like these
Exactly.
t-shirts. Yeah. So there's lots of opportunities for
Right.
people to be able to share the love of covered bridges as well as grab
Absolutely.
some great merchandise. And I wanted to talk about something else that has happened this year, because you said 25th anniversary was last year. We've been 250 for
Right.
the United States this year, and the Vermont Covered Bridge Society decided to undertake quite a project. You wanna tell
Well,
us
we
about it?
did, and this is not my brainchild. This is the brainchild of our events chairperson, Gary Briggs, who is a native son of Lunenburg, and also the clerk and the town treasurer up there. And he wanted to see if we could stand up a project where every historic bridge, covered bridge in Vermont, was gifted a flag, a 250 flag.
Yeah, we've got some great pictures. Yeah.
And there are 3 different iterations of that, and the Betsy Ross one was the one that we chose because it's more historically correct, if you will. And so what we did was, well, Gary, he wrote a grant. We didn't get the grant funding, so then because there's no quit in Gary Briggs, he went and found the funding through the Vermont Division of Historic Preservation. And they gave us a $5,000 donation, and then we made up the difference, which is about $1,700. And so the flags are on the bridges now. They were for the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And we have a gallery on our website of all the flags on the different bridges.
They're absolutely beautiful, and they're going to stay up until 2027?
Well, the 250 Commission actually encompasses 3 years of the celebration. So last year, this year, and next year. And for Vermont, next year is really more of a significant year history-wise.
Yes.
Okay. So, but yes, the recommendation by the 250 Commission is that they go up and stay up through December 31st of 2027.
Yeah.
That's probably not realistic in Vermont, and I
Yeah,
think
they're
a
gonna
lot
take
of
a beating,
a lot
yes,
of towns
sure.
will take them down once we get to stick season in November, and then put them back up.
But
in the
definitely something
spring.
folks are going to want to take a look at.
Right.
And Covered Bridge Week is a great time to do it. So let's talk about Covered Bridge Week. It's coming up August 1st again through the 8th. We said that. What kind of things are going on?
All kinds of things. But their newest thing is our tours. So we're bookending we're bookending the week with guided tours to 2 different areas in Vermont. And because covered bridges oftentimes are in tight spots parking-wise, we've rented a Sprinter van, and we're going to have two tours on the 1st of August that will go from Randolph Center and go down up over Chelsea Mountain and down through Tunbridge and back up through South Randolph and to East Randolph. And that's going to encompass 9 historic covered bridges. It's a 3-hour tour to get around the block, Vermont style, as I call it.
Good thing is there's no desert island for you to get stuck on.
Exactly. And the tickets are available on our website, on the online store, $45, which is $15 an hour. And where can you get entertainment for that? And there'll be some surprises along the way. I'm the tour guide, but we've rented a Sprinter van with 14 seats, and I'll take one. Of course, the driver comes with the van. And so we're looking forward to doing that twice on that day, which would be 9:30 and 1 o'clock. And then we have our Maple Monday, which is the second annual Maple Monday, because we started this last year. On the Monday, which will be the 3rd of August, we're going to have 3 different bridges this year. Only one is repeating from our 3 sites last year, and that's the Mount Orne Bridge in Lunenburg. And the other 2 that are added in this year are the Martin Covered Bridge in Marshfield and the Gorham Covered Bridge in Pittsford. They both have adequate parking for what we need to do, which is get a maple producer there and get some folks to come between 3 and 6 p.m. And buy maple products and look at the covered bridge at the same time.
I mean, what a Vermont experience, right?
Exactly.
Yes, all right. So everyone needs to mark their calendars for that. And these events have been organized by the towns and things as well, right?
They have been, yeah. There's several towns, Brattleboro, in fact, the very next day, on Tuesday, the 4th of August, is having what they call Covered Bridge Day in Brattleboro. And that's going to be at their one remaining covered bridge that they have, the Creamery Bridge, which is surrounded by beautiful gardens. And it's from 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 o'clock at night. And all kinds of things will be happening there. Music, food, fun, speakers, you know, whatever.
All the good things.
Yep.
Well, what I think was so smart was that you had the idea that if you got, so the governor has designated this week 2 years in a row now, and it does have to be designated each year because you can't, you know, like make a rule that then legislators behind you would have to, you know, carry forth if you didn't agree with it. But the towns can also get into the rhythm of this and just say first week in August, and then as the word spreads, our, you know, tourists who are like, when should I go to Vermont? First week in August.
Exactly.
We could also take advantage, go to Covered Bridge
You have
Week.
articulated my vision beautifully.
Well, you articulated it to me beautiful, and I basically just repeated it back to you. You know, Steve, I wanted to ask you a question about, because you said that one of the things that you enjoy about bridges as, you know, as you get older, as you spend time photographing them, is the connection history. Tell us what the bridges mean to you.
Yes, I mean, every bridge has got some major history. There's bridges that had mills right beside them.
Yeah.
One bridge has a crib dam. Small town in the crib dam one basically had a mill, you know, downstream. Yeah, so, you know, I can go photograph it, but when I get home, I got to go in and look up the history. And
Yeah. Well, if folks want to get involved with covered bridges themselves, what can they do?
Well, we have, we go to many events. We're going Tunbridge Fair, again, Rutland Fair for the 5th year. That will be in August. Chester Festival for the 3rd year. That will be in September. Our brochure is handed out liberally wherever we go, and in there is our membership application.
Okay, good.
And so you can do it that way, or you can go to our website, which is vermontbridges.org. And there is a membership tab, and you can join using PayPal as the payment mechanism. And one of the things that we've highlighted this year is we sent a letter to all the covered bridge towns in December and asked them if they would be willing to join the Vermont Covered Bridge Society and support us. And so we have 46 towns in Vermont that have covered bridges, and these are the towns that have joined thus far in the last 6 months.
Well done.
And we are gaining on this all the time. Obviously, my goal is to have every covered bridge town on this list. But each one of these towns has supported us at the $100 level, which helped us to make up the gap in the flag project.
Well, shout out to those towns. So thank you all, you know, I mean, to Waitsfield, et cetera. I've been reading off the list, all these great towns. And folks, I want to make sure you know that Covered Bridge Week is coming up August 1st through August 8th with tours and other events all over the state. You can buy tickets for tours, get more information, find all that wonderful merch on the website. There's the address again right there, vermontbridges.org. Beth and Steve, this has been a wonderful conversation with you both this morning. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for joining
much
me.
for having us.
And as always, thank you, Vermont, for learning and exploring with me today. And thanks to the team that makes Across the Fence possible. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.